Are you in position?
Yeah.
Parani.
Russ, I just heard something coming towards me, and all of a sudden leaves just started dropping with absolutely no wind. I see movement.
What does it look like?
It looks like... Oh my God.
What?
Whatever that is, it is walking across the forest. It's huge. This is the biggest heat signature I've ever seen. It's huge. And now there's another one to the left. There's multiple creatures walking over there.
Imagine yourself deep in the forest, utterly isolated from civilization, when you suddenly come face to face with the creature you've been looking for. But it's more than just a passing glance. It's a full-fledged encounter that forces the team to evacuate immediately. What did they see? Why did they need to go so abruptly? Stick around, because this story is just getting started, and you won't believe what happens next.
This being is clearly taking larger steps than a black bear would.
So if it's not a bear, could we be looking at a real-life Bigfoot?
Bigfoot is commonly described as a nocturnal creature who hunts or avoids detection at night. Even the darkness couldn't hide the beast in the shocking clip you're about to watch. Deep in the forest, hidden in shadows, the Expedition Bigfoot crew uncovered an alarming discovery that forced them to flee for their lives. As the squad entered the woodland, there was an electric tension in the air. The dense, murky woods seemed alive with hidden mysteries, like if something magnificent was waiting just out of sight. Each step they made brought them deeper into a realm that appeared to hide more than just creatures. In this episode, the forest becomes a character in its own right, rather than just a background. It was the ideal environment for Bigfoot, dense, dark, and full of hiding places. Towering trees and dense underbrush produced an unnerving sense of seclusion, making it easy to assume that something, or someone, was lurking in the shadows. And then, in the distance, what's that? A glimpse of movement. A footprint in the dirt. Whatever it was enough to push the team and their technology to the limits as the forest closed in around them.
There's something moving over there.
As the squad progressed deeper into the woods, the tension rose. The forest appeared to press in on them, echoing every sound. Each rustling leaf or shattering twig sent shivers down their spines. The suspense was real. This wasn't for show. They needed to be on high alert. Their eyes were insufficient to see in such a deep, gloomy forest. They depended primarily on high-tech technology to identify things that their natural senses could not pick up. Even with the best technology at their disposal, the task ahead seemed difficult. The equipment they employed was specifically designed to detect motions and sounds that humans would ordinarily overlook, essential in an atmosphere like this. However, how do you locate evidence of something as elusive as Bigfoot? That was still a massive challenge. For days, the team watched and listened, hoping for any sign that they were getting closer. The forest silence became almost oppressive, and doubt started to creep in. Would they ever find anything? But just as hope was dying, their devices detected some unexpected sounds. It was a watershed moment. The attitude shifted from irritation and skepticism to enthusiasm and hope. It dawned on them that their equipment had detected something that couldn't easily be explained. The tension in this episode reached new heights, but it wasn't the most disturbing aspect of their journey. The pressure on the squad was increasing, and the gravity of their job grew increasingly apparent. Every sound in the forest, whether it was the wind blowing through the trees or the snap of a faraway branch, suddenly felt meaningful. It seemed as if any sound may indicate Bigfoot's arrival, putting the team on high alert. This increased awareness began to weigh on their minds, causing a constant psychological strain. The strain and uncertainty were not only exhausting, but also oddly energizing. They had to keep their cool while pressing forward with their search. Suspense was developed through well-timed quiet periods that left you feeling uncomfortable. These lulls were critical because when a sound did emerge, it was unexpected, putting the listener on edge. This tactic is common in the horror and thriller genres, when the anticipation of something happening can build greater suspense than the event itself. The silence and unexpected blasts of sound emphasized nature's unpredictability and the mystery surrounding animals like Bigfoot. But even then, the scariest part was yet to come. The eerie stillness of the forest, interrupted by strange and unexplained noises, served as a chilling reminder of how little we truly know about these untamed places.
I'm their plumber. They've known me for many years. I let them know that I know that the Bigfoot are very real. It's not controversial, or it shouldn't be.
The possibility that Bigfoot was nearby became increasingly apparent, eliciting a visceral mix of exhilaration and horror. As the team progressed deeper into the woods, they came across a find that altered everything. Bones and remains scattered across the ground like something out of a horror film. This unsettling find wasn't just eerie. It hinted that a powerful predator, possibly Bigfoot, was in the area. The sight of the bones served as a stark reminder of the untamed wilderness, where only the strongest creatures survive. The scientists noticed toes aligned like peas in a pod, implying that this species would have gripped the ground with its feet as it traveled through the forest. The double ball of the foot was a clear indication that they had entered perilous territory, adding significant weight to their mission. But that wasn't the only evidence they uncovered. Nearby, the team found massive handprints on the trees. These prints weren't just large, they had an unusual shape, unlike any animal tracks they had ever seen before. The size and pattern of the handprints revealed critical information about the creature's size, strength, and possibly even behavior. In an area where visual observations are frequently few or disputed, physical evidence like this was invaluable. This discovery transformed the forest from a mere backdrop to a major participant in the drama. The bones and handprints created a tense, spooky environment, making the team acutely aware of the very real threats that they faced. The potential of a Bigfoot encounter seemed closer than ever. The dense forests and murky roads that had earlier served as a mere backdrop now felt like they were closing in on the squad, posing unknown hazards. This frightening environment not only presented a psychological challenge to the group, but it also offered a dramatic aspect that heightened the suspense for viewers. The stark reality of the physical evidence contrasted with the silent, towering presence of the forest, creating palpable tension, the kind that makes for a truly riveting narrative.
Shadow, the moon was just coming up, was almost a full moon. I clearly saw a hand with 4 fingers and an opposed thumb.
But the episode did not end there. As the squad moved farther into the woods, the sensation of uneasiness deepened. What had once been a mystery landscape seemed more like a trap, with each step drawing them closer to an unknown danger. The combination of this eerie environment, strange discoveries, and the looming possibility of encountering Bigfoot turned this adventure into a gripping, edge-of-your-seat experience. Each moment was filled with uncertainty, leaving both the team and viewers on high alert, constantly wondering what would happen next. As the show progressed, the editing and presentation played an important role in heightening the tension. Natural sounds, along with the team's honest reactions, drew viewers deeper into the story, making the whole experience feel very real and immediate. The buildup of suspense was meticulously planned, with peaceful times that heightened the sensation of foreboding, making the inevitable upheavals all the more powerful. This tactic, which is common in the horror and thriller genres, increased the intensity of the expectation rather than the actual happenings. Every disturbing noise discovered by their instruments served as a hook, drawing the audience in even deeper and laying the groundwork for further dramatic revelations as the expedition continued. The team's meeting with a horrifying scene had a tremendous influence, completely changing the mood of the mission. While they discovered critical evidence, they also created a genuine sense of risk. The notion that they could be chasing a violent beast was both thrilling and disturbing. It taxed their determination, requiring them to consider how far they were willing to go in their quest of this enigma. Now, they had to strike a balance between their scientific interest and the urgent necessity to protect themselves. The hunt for elusive animals like Bigfoot requires a delicate balance between the desire to discover the truth and the urge to keep safe. This concept pervades practically all explorations into the unknown.
He had reported seeing one of these behaving aggressively in front of his cabin.
Every piece of evidence discovered by the crew had to be carefully analyzed, given the hazards involved in following a potentially hazardous being. But the revelation of proof was not the only uncomfortable aspect. The bones and handprints they discovered were not only important clues to Bigfoot's presence and behavior, but they also served as a sharp reminder of the risks they faced. It's this combination of discovery and danger that makes expeditions like these so captivating, both for the team on the ground and for those of us watching from the safety of our homes. The mix of excitement and fear keeps everyone on the edge of their seats. As the team continued their trek on Expedition Bigfoot, they came to a crossroads. This was when they decided to use new technology to improve their search. It was a watershed moment, demonstrating how modern techniques and traditional fieldwork can collaborate in the search for elusive animals like Bigfoot. The crew made a game-changing decision to deploy drones equipped with thermal imaging cameras, which was ideal for the dense, vast forest they were researching. Drones provide an enormous edge by flying over the treetops, providing aerial views that human trackers simply cannot obtain. These drones were a lifesaver in an area where dense vegetation made it practically difficult to see anything at ground level. The thermal cameras, which detect heat patterns, allowed the team to spot warm-bodied creatures from above, making it much easier to track anything moving through the forest. But even with this cutting-edge technology, the most thrilling moment was yet to come. Everything changed when the drone's thermal camera picked up an unusual heat signature, a fast-moving, human-like figure. This was a massive moment for the team and the viewers, as it represented the first visual evidence that could potentially be Bigfoot. Capturing a large, upright figure on thermal video is incredibly rare, and it provided a strong counterpoint to skeptics who doubt Bigfoot's existence. The heat pattern did not match any known animals in the area.
If hard evidence of Bigfoot really exists, then why are scientists so eager to dismiss it?
I'm sitting on the hillside in pitch black. I'm looking through thermal imaging, and it dawns on me that I'm being watched.
Interesting.
And the fact that the figure appeared to be walking on two legs was consistent with several eyewitness sightings and folklore portrayals of Bigfoot as a creature that walks like a person. However, this was more than just obtaining a hazy image. The real drama began when the drone controllers began directing ground forces as they attempted to locate the figure. You could feel the anxiety as they watched the movement across the screen. Something was obviously going on. The collaboration between drones in the sky and ground workers was vital to properly and safely tracking the creature's journey. It was an excellent example of how modern exploration has grown. By integrating cutting-edge technology with human skill, the team increased their odds of success while reducing the hazards of following a potentially hazardous creature. The ground personnel could navigate the difficult terrain more successfully with real-time data from the drone directing them, lowering the possibility of any dangerous direct encounters with the unknown. As the team continued to track the fast-moving figure, they observed something interesting. It was heading directly towards a glacier. This was a major discovery. It suggested that Bigfoot might be drawn to cold, remote environments, far from human civilization. The glacier, with its rugged, isolated landscape, could provide the perfect hiding place, offering both the resources Bigfoot would need to survive and the natural camouflage to stay hidden. This turn towards the glacier opened up a completely new way of thinking. The crew began to consider how Bigfoot could thrive in such a hostile environment. Could understanding this frigid environment aid in predicting its movements and directing future expeditions? It appeared likely, but the glacier wasn't just another stop on their travels. This discovery could hold the key to learning even more about the creature's mysterious behavior.
John visited the cabin and, incredibly, found that there were hair samples left near the house. He collected the hairs.
It was an important element of the overall puzzle. During this portion of the expedition, the team used drone technology to capture a bizarre encounter with a humanoid figure, demonstrating how far exploration has progressed in the 21st century. They have not only improved their capacity to track elusive species such as Bigfoot by combining thermal imaging and airborne surveillance, but they have also amassed unparalleled data that calls into question everything we thought we knew about the world's wild, unexplored regions. As Expedition Bigfoot proceeds, technological discoveries bring us closer to solving one of our time's greatest mysteries. But even more exciting was the game-changing discovery that came later. The team unearthed what could be one of the most significant finds in the history of cryptozoology, a Bigfoot skull. This wasn't just any old bone. It was a physical piece of evidence that may potentially bridge the gap between humans and apes, giving us a better grasp of Bigfoot's evolutionary position. The skull was found in a remote, unspoiled site and was remarkably well preserved, providing scientists with a unique opportunity to examine it in depth. Unlike footprints or thermal pictures, which could be dismissed as inconclusive, this skull was a tangible artifact. It revealed surprising details about Bigfoot's physical characteristics, food, and evolutionary history. The skull's features, which hinted at both human and ape-like elements, were particularly striking, something that had long been talked about but had never been caught so vividly. The skull revealed that Bigfoot could have walked on 2 legs, just like humans. This would have provided the creature with significant advantages in terms of movement, energy efficiency, and the ability to use its hands for other purposes. But equally intriguing was the prospect that Bigfoot could move on all 4s, like an ape, allowing it to go faster and more steadily through tough terrain.
They just saw that was unexpected right in front of them. I've had the opportunity to go to this location with the witness, Chuck.
Sightings and footprints have always piqued our interest in Bigfoot studies, but this latest discovery sheds light on the creature's behavior, hunting techniques, and environmental preferences. What if Bigfoot can move on 2 legs and all 4s? It could imply that this organism is significantly more flexible than we previously assumed, able to thrive in a variety of conditions. This could explain why Bigfoot has remained undetected for so long, thriving in the most remote and inhospitable environments. The skull discovered in Expedition Bigfoot is more than just another piece of evidence. It may hold the key to understanding how Bigfoot evolved into one of the world's most enigmatic species. This discovery raises fundamental concerns concerning the origins and evolution of human-like organisms. Could Bigfoot be a hybrid species? If this is the case, it may alter our understanding of the evolutionary pathways of humans and apes, implying that there are unexplored branches on the evolutionary tree. It prompts scientists to reconsider our ancestry and what other living forms may yet be hiding in remote regions of the Earth. This discovery opens up new avenues for scientific investigation and may revolutionize our understanding of our closest evolutionary relatives. But for the Expedition Bigfoot team, there were challenges in getting this discovery back to safety. With their mobile units unable to navigate the ravine, it became clear how difficult this mission really was. This moment in the series wasn't just exciting, it was a true scientific breakthrough, shedding light not only on a legendary creature, but also on our own history. And while this isn't the end of the story, as scientists continue to study the skull, it remains a crucial piece of evidence in the ongoing Bigfoot debate. The combination of adventure and science has piqued the interest of both specialists and the public. But, following a tense scenario, the team had to make the difficult decision to flee. Faced with solid proof of Bigfoot, the crew had to strike a compromise between information and safety.
They chose to call it the Wood Booger.
The Wood Booger was rumored to be a horrifying sight that was known to carry away small children who wandered off in the night.
This decision was significant not just for the team, but also for future trips. The search for Bigfoot is far from done. In fact, it has only just begun. The team's choice to withdraw was more than just a smart one. It demonstrated a responsible approach to investigating enigmatic creatures in nature. When dealing with huge, potentially aggressive creatures, it is critical to have a strong strategy. So, this wasn't a failure by any means. It was a strategic choice to keep the team safe and protect the integrity of their research. Taking a step back allowed the team to reconsider their strategy, making future interactions more regulated and safer. But that was not all. This stop prompted thoughtful preparation, which included the implementation of new technology and ways to enhance the effectiveness of their work. This demonstrates their dedication to conducting research that minimizes risks, not only for the researchers, but also for the animals they are investigating. The team's emphasis on safety serves as a fantastic lesson to fellow researchers. The excitement of discovery should never be sacrificed for the safety or well-being of animals. Looking ahead, the team intended to use new technologies such as drones, thermal imaging cameras, and improved remote sensing technology to study Bigfoot from a safe distance. These tools not only improve safety, but also improve data quality, which is critical for developing a strong scientific knowledge of Bigfoot. The facts acquired during this voyage could have a significant impact on future studies regarding Bigfoot's behavior, habitat, and biological characteristics. With this overwhelming evidence, the team has created the framework for further research into how Bigfoot interacts with its environment, survives, and maybe forms social structures. The effective execution of these tactics and technologies could set new norms in cryptozoology and field research.
Who on a Tuesday night is a mile and a half into the woods running around with no flashlight?
Perhaps opening up new avenues for studying other elusive creatures and transferring these lessons to larger conservation initiatives. What a thrilling adventure, right? Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more thrilling stories and updates from the field.
Are you in position?
Yeah.
Prodding.
The Expedition Bigfoot crew's terrifying journey into the unknown took a shocking, deadly turn. one they may never escape.
No wonder I missed it. This could lead to another cave. All right, well, I think I definitely have to go in there.
They weren't just chasing a legend. They walked straight into a nightmare, deep in the heart of an unforgiving forest. The forest itself seemed alive, trapping them in a game of fear and survival with no way out. Tune in to the moment shadows came alive, and the nightmare became unstoppable. A terrifying Bigfoot encounter. The expedition. Bigfoot wasn't just messing around in any random patch of forest. They were deep in the wilderness, where even the birds didn't seem to want to hang out. A couple of weeks before the team got there, a logger noticed something odd. The kind of odd that makes you squint at the ground and mutter, "What is this?" It was a handprint. Not just any handprint, a massive, non-human handprint planted right in the dirt. This wasn't some prank by a bored camper. This thing looked legit, like it belonged to something that doesn't appear in biology textbooks. But that handprint wasn't just a clue. It was a warning, a harbinger of something that didn't intend to stay hidden much longer. When the Expedition Bigfoot team rolled up, they didn't waste any time.
He says he managed to shoo it away with a stick and something he called rough talking. So maybe Bigfoot does have some long-standing history with coyotes.
Armed with gadgets, thermal imaging, sound detectors, and drones, they were ready to find answers. At least that was the plan. But plans, as we know, don't always work out. Things got unsettling fast. While setting up trackers in the woods, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Not the kind of feeling you get when a squirrel stares at you, but the deep, gnawing sense that something bigger was out there. The gear started picking up strange noises and movement. It was both thrilling and terrifying, as if the forest itself was alive. The trackers led them to a murky water body. Splashes came next, loud, sudden, heavy, the kind that makes your heart skip. They decided to cross, hoping to uncover what was causing the commotion. Necessary? Sure. Wise? Maybe not. On the other side, the situation escalated. Footprints appeared, huge ones, easily dwarfing any known animal track. These weren't bear prints or anything typical, deeply imprinted, wide, and oddly human-like. Then they stumbled upon a kill site. Imagine branches snapped clean in half, disturbed soil, and a lingering sense of dread. It wasn't just a mess. It was the aftermath of something powerful. The logger's handprint was there too, clear and undeniable. Up close, the team measured it, twice the size of any human's hand. At this point, the theory that they were tracking something legendary started feeling less like a guess and more like a fact. The team split up to cover more ground. Classic move, risky too.
Given the long distance at which they're observing this creature, I think it's an honest mistake. And this can often happen with people that see humans in the distance.
One group stayed at the handprint site while another ventured into the valley. Drones zipped overhead and robots scoured the ground. Then the drones spotted something, a humanoid figure moving in the dense woods. The image wasn't clear enough to draw conclusions, but it was enough to send adrenaline coursing. Ronnie, one of the leads, decided this wasn't the time to hesitate. Equipped with a thermal imaging device, he followed heat signatures through the forest. The excitement was short-lived, though. The creature, whatever it was, vanished, leaving them with more questions than answers. The team regrouped and discovered fresh clues, knuckle prints, snapped tree limbs, and an eerie howl that reverberated through the trees. Whether it was Bigfoot or something else entirely, it wasn't normal. Then came another twist. Something or someone was following them. With bated breath, they turned and found Bryce, a team member who had gotten separated. Relief mixed with exasperation, but it didn't last. They pursued the signature, navigating dense brush and uneven terrain. The creature stayed just out of reach, its presence marked by cracking branches and rustling leaves. The forest seemed almost complicit in helping it evade capture. It was a game of cat and mouse, with the stakes growing higher by the minute. As daylight broke, exhaustion crept in, but determination kept the team moving. The evidence they had gathered, tracks, sounds, and sightings, painted a compelling picture. They hadn't caught Bigfoot, but they were closer than ever. The question now wasn't if they'd find it, But when? After a quick regroup back at base camp, the team went over their discoveries. The sheer size of the footprints and the knuckle prints left them in awe.
Bigfoot sighting in 2006, and it was a little bit after midnight, and he's going to share his story with us.
With every detail analyzed, they could piece together an image of the creature's behavior. It wasn't just wandering aimlessly, it had a purpose, possibly even a routine. The discovery of the kill site added an ominous layer to the mystery. What kind of predator could leave such destruction behind? Theories swirled among the crew, but none seemed to stick. The handprint alone was enough to keep them awake at night, questioning what they were really chasing. They decided to push further into the forest the next morning, this time heading toward the deeper parts of the valley. The area was dense, almost suffocating with its towering trees and thick underbrush. It felt untouched, as if humans had never set foot there before. Drones scouted ahead, mapping the terrain and looking for heat signatures. The rest of the team followed, eyes peeled for any movement. The tension was palpable. Every snap of a twig or rustle of leaves sent their hearts racing. Was it Bigfoot or just the wind playing tricks? Then came the break they were waiting for. A drone picked up a faint heat signature, moving near the edge of a river. The figure was large, upright, and moving deliberately. This wasn't a deer or a bear. Whatever it was, it had intent. The team closed in, carefully navigating the uneven terrain. The closer they got, the more they felt the weight of the moment. This could be it, the proof they'd been searching for. As they approached the riverbank, they found more signs: bent branches, deep footprints, and claw marks on a tree.
That excitement, and then just fear. I mean, when I stuck my head out the window, I thought I did it. Like it was just going to kill me because I served up my head, and it's.
These weren't the marks of a casual forest dweller. Something strong and intelligent had passed through, leaving a trail of subtle clues. The handprint from earlier suddenly felt like just the beginning. This was a living, breathing creature, and it was close. Ronnie took the lead, thermal imaging device in hand. The heat signature was still there, moving slowly through the trees. The team spread out, trying to cover as much ground as possible without losing sight of the figure. The forest seemed to close in around them, its thick canopy blocking out most of the sunlight. Shadows danced on the ground, making it hard to distinguish movement from imagination. Then it happened. A low, guttural growl echoed through the trees, freezing everyone in their tracks. It was deep and resonant, unlike anything they'd heard before. The team exchanged nervous glances but pressed on. The growl came again, this time closer. The figure was moving toward them. Suddenly, the thermal device picked up a burst of heat just ahead. Ronnie signaled for the team to stop. The creature was there, just beyond the next line of trees. Hearts pounding, they inched forward, trying to get a clear view. The forest was silent now, as if holding its breath. The only sound was the crunch of their boots on the forest floor. And then they saw it. A massive silhouette moved between the trees, its broad shoulders and towering frame unmistakable. It was Bigfoot, or something very much like it. The creature paused, turning its head as if sensing their presence.
There had been about 8 to 10 logs, probably 25 to 30 feet long, maybe a little longer than that. But they were all laying in one direction.
For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The team held their breath, not daring to move. Cameras clicked, capturing as much as they could. But just as quickly as it appeared, the creature vanished into the shadows. It moved with surprising speed and agility, leaving the team stunned. They chased after it, but the dense forest made it impossible to keep up. By the time they reached the spot where it had stood, there was nothing but broken branches and faint footprints. Despite the frustration of losing sight of the creature, the team knew they'd witnessed something extraordinary. The footage and photos they captured, while not definitive proof, were compelling enough to keep their search alive. Back at camp, they reviewed everything, analyzing every frame and sound. The growl, the heat signature, the massive silhouette, it all pointed to something real, something they couldn't explain away. Just when they thought the forest had shown its worst, it made clear there was more to reveal. A forest's haunting message. The experience left them both exhilarated and haunted. The forest had revealed a glimpse of its secrets, but it also reminded them of its vast, impenetrable mystery. They packed up their gear, determined to return with better equipment and a more strategic plan. This wasn't the end of their journey, it was just the beginning. Then there's the soundscape. At first, it's all normal forest stuff, birds chirping, branches cracking underfoot. But then came the knocks. Not random either. These are deliberate, like Morse code for the damned. 1 knock, pause. 2 knocks, pause. It's the kind of sound that makes your hair stand on end because, deep down, you know it's not some woodpecker messing around. People who've heard it describe a fear that hits differently, bypassing your brain and going straight to your gut. A wildlife photographer who thought he'd seen it all camped out near the forest edge to snap some rare animal shots. On the 4th night, as he's chilling by his fire, a whistle pierces the quiet. Not your average bird call either. This was a haunting melody that seemed to answer itself, getting closer and closer from opposite directions. When morning came, he packed up and bolted, swearing he'd been watched the whole time. And as he glanced back, there it was, a shadow impossibly tall, melting back into the trees like it was never there. But let's not forget the main event, the Expedition Bigfoot crew. These folks came prepared, armed with high-tech gear and big dreams of catching proof of the elusive creature. On day 1, the forest seemed to play nice, just the usual eerie silence and some broken branches. By day 2, though, things got weird. They found massive footprints by a riverbank, far too big and deep to belong to any human.
As I was sluicing, Brian came over to the fence and yelled down to me, "Joseph, let's get the hell out of here." So I hurried and grabbed the sluice box and pulled the burlap out of it and prepped it to take off. By that time, he was down here.
Trees were snapped clean off at the tops, as if a colossal hand had reached down and snapped them like toothpicks. And then there was the dammed up stream, rocks piled just so, like someone with a very specific purpose had been there. Night 2? That's when the forest decided to show off. Reviewing their drone footage, the crew caught a flash of something big and fast moving through the trees. Excitement turned to dread real quick. By the next morning, they followed the trail to a clearing that screamed, "Get out now!" Bones, deer, rabbits, even what looked like a black bear, were piled in a crude circle. In the middle, a massive handprint pressed into the dirt, unmistakably inhuman. As they stood there, frozen, the forest seemed to close in. The air got heavier, and then came the knocking. Faster, louder, more urgent. One of the crew, ever the skeptic, knelt to examine the handprint. Big mistake. A growl, low and guttural, rolled through the clearing. It wasn't just a noise, it was a warning, vibrating in their chests like a primal, "You don't belong here." Panic hit like a freight train. They scrambled to pack their gear, adrenaline overriding any sense of order. Then came the cracking sounds like trees being snapped one by one. They ran. Flashlights bobbed wildly in the darkness as they sprinted, hearts pounding, daring not to look back. When they finally burst out of the forest's edge, they collapsed in a heap, gasping for air and clinging to whatever shred of sanity they had left.
And its mouth was below the top of the trap. If that gives any indication to how big the trap was or how low the head was.
This forest wasn't just home to some mythical creature. It was part of the legend, an ally that shielded its secrets with a ferocity that bordered on sentience. Every bent tree, every rhythmic knock, every unnatural pile of bones screamed a message. Stay out. And for those who didn't listen, the forest had no problem reminding them who was in charge. Expedition Bigfoot had stepped into something far bigger than they could have imagined. They had entered a domain that didn't just belong to nature, but seemed to be curated by an intelligence that wasn't human. As the days passed, more details came to light, painting a picture that was as intricate as it was horrifying. The next discovery was something they couldn't explain, a collection of rocks, arranged in what seemed like a pattern, not just a random scatter, but deliberate, precise. Each rock was placed upright, some balancing in impossible positions. It was as if the forest was laying down some cryptic message. The lead researchers snapped a series of photos, but the air around them felt heavier, as though the act of documenting the scene was an intrusion. They pressed on, driven by a mix of scientific curiosity and stubborn determination. On day 4, the forest showed them just how unforgiving it could be. As they trekked deeper, a strange mist began to roll in, reducing visibility to almost nothing. The mist seemed to carry a sound, faint whispers like a language they couldn't understand. One crew member, visibly shaken, insisted they turn back, but the others convinced him to push forward. This was why they were here, after all. The mist led them to another clearing. This one was worse than the last. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and in the center was what could only be described as a ritualistic scene. Sticks and branches were arranged in spirals, and in the middle sat a crude effigy made of bones, sticks, and tufts of fur. It was unmistakably humanoid but grotesque, as if mocking the human form. The team's biologist knelt to examine it, her hands trembling. She muttered something about the fur belonging to no known species before standing up abruptly, pale and shaken. By the 5th day, the team's resolve was crumbling. Their food supplies were untouched, but no one had much of an appetite. Sleep was sporadic at best, haunted by dreams of shadows moving through the trees. Even their most skeptical member admitted he'd seen something, a fleeting glimpse of a figure too large and too fast to be anything natural. The forest wasn't just messing with them, it was breaking them. They believed they had seen it all, but the night brought movements in the shadows that defied understanding. The night the shadows moved. The decision to leave wasn't a hard one, but the forest had other plans. The route they had marked earlier was gone, replaced by an impassable wall of trees and thorny underbrush. It was as if the forest itself had decided they weren't leaving without permission. Panic set in as they tried to navigate using their GPS devices, only to find them malfunctioning. The equipment that had once felt like a safety net was now useless. As they sat in their camp, the growl returned, deeper and more menacing than before. The knocking was deafening, surrounding them from all sides. And then, for the first time, they saw it. A figure stepped into the edge of their firelight. It was massive, its silhouette towering above them, its eyes reflecting the flames like burning coals. It didn't move closer, but it didn't need to. Its presence alone was enough to send the crew into a frenzy. They grabbed what they could and ran, abandoning most of their gear in their desperate bid to escape. When they finally emerged from the forest, they were a shadow of their former selves. Exhausted, terrified, and carrying nothing but the clothes on their backs, they collapsed onto the dirt road that marked the forest's edge. The footage they recovered told a story of fear and fascination, of a crew that had come face to face with something beyond their understanding. The forest had let them go, but not without a warning. Its secrets remained intact, its legend growing with each retelling.
I got Ronnie and Maria on their way on the outside of this lake on both sides. They've actually separated. They both are equipped with thermal imaging to monitor any of the areas I can't see.
For Expedition Bigfoot, the experience was a stark reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved. But the mystery didn't let up for long. Back in their homes, the team began experiencing vivid nightmares. Each member described them in eerie detail. The sound of the knocks echoing in their dreams, the feeling of being watched even in the safety of their bedrooms, and the occasional shadow that seemed to pass too close for comfort. It was as if the forest refused to release them, keeping its grip on their minds long after they had left its twisted domain. The physical evidence they recovered, footage, audio, and collected samples, became the subject of intense scrutiny. Scientists and cryptid enthusiasts debated over the findings, some convinced it was irrefutable proof of an unknown being, others insisting it was an elaborate hoax or simply misinterpretation. But for the team, the real horror wasn't in the debate. It was in what they couldn't explain. The shadows in the footage seemed to defy natural movement, shifting in ways that broke conventional laws of physics. The growl, when analyzed, produced a frequency range no known animal or human could replicate. The recovered rocks and soil samples told a strange story of their own. Microscopic analysis revealed unknown organic compounds. The samples appeared to be laced with traces of something, a residue that didn't match any natural or synthetic substance on record. The soil contained biological markers that pointed to an ecosystem unlike anything ever documented. It was as if the forest itself harbored secrets so alien they couldn't be unraveled by modern science. Then there were the psychological effects. Each team member reported feelings of paranoia, an inability to shake the sense that they were being followed, even in broad daylight. Relationships fractured under the strain, and some members withdrew from public life entirely. A couple of them sought professional help, but even therapists were baffled by the vivid descriptions of their trauma. Months turned into years, but the story didn't fade. The footage became legendary among cryptozoologists, shared in hushed tones across forums and conferences. It sparked countless expeditions to the same forest, but none came back with evidence quite as compelling or as terrifying. The forest had closed itself off, retreating into its shroud of mystery as though it had already said all it needed to. Yet there are whispers of those who claim to have returned and seen the same shadows. Hunters, hikers, and researchers all speak of the same sensations: the heavy air, the rhythmic knocking, and the unshakable feeling of being watched. They tell of dreams that bleed into reality, of sounds that follow them home, and of a forest that seems less a part of this world with each passing day. Could Bigfoot be more than a cryptid, a guardian of a forest's secrets, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries.